What's up, YouTube? Zach's back with another attack, and we're going to start right now with part 2 of the interview I did with TailosiveTech about all kinds of stuff. This part includes things such as how to succeed on YouTube, his view on haters, and who he would like to collaborate with next, since he just did one with MKBHD. So we're going to get right into that, but first, do you guys know why the blind man fell into the well? Because he couldn't see that well.
Zach's back with another attack, so come on in and just relax. Hit subscribe and join the fun. You're Zach to the future now, son.
So you did an interview recently with MKBHD.
Yeah.
Is there any other, whether they're YouTubers or not, is there anybody else who you would like to meet or speak to in any capacity?
Well, pretty much any large YouTuber, like when I say large, I probably mean like over 1 million subscriber, like any 1 million subscriber plus tech channel who would contact me to do a collab, I would most likely agree with, no matter how much I disagreed with them. I would love to collaborate with anyone who's willing to ask. But I don't want to sound pushy when I ask who I want to collab with, because I know my fan base, while I'm very, very grateful for, can be a little bit demanding. You know, when I did my Dear Marquez and Dear Everything Apple Pro video, I'm very, very grateful that a lot of people decided to go to Marquez and Everything Apple Pro and just comment on them like crazy to say, collab with Drew, collab with Drew. I'm very grateful for that, but I'm also a little embarrassed. You know, I'm glad that Marquez said yes to it. But I think the opposite of Marquez's reaction is what we got from Everything Apple Pro, is he ended up deleting comments that mentioned TailosiveTech, because it does get a little bit annoying, and you never want to force YouTubers to collaborate if they don't want to. So Everything Apple Pro not wanting to collab with me, I totally understand. I'm not offended by that at all, because I get asked to collaborate with other YouTubers smaller than me or bigger than me sometimes, and I don't necessarily enjoy their content, or they just look like someone I don't really want to talk to. And I'm not trying to be mean in that way. I'm just saying I don't think a collaboration between us would be very interesting.
Organic.
And I felt Marquez's collaboration would be, because he's very opposite of me. So I thought that would be a good combination. Even if Everything Apple Pro said yes, he makes so much different videos than me. I don't even know what we would talk about. It'd probably be really boring to people. So if I had to go outside of the tech YouTubers realm, though, I would love to one day collab or just appear on Red Letter Media's channel, because they're my favorite YouTubers. But I know them pretty well just based on their videos, and I know that they probably wouldn't like me knowing them. So I don't anticipate that happening. But that would be kind of like the dream moment, is if I got to go to Milwaukee and be on Best of the Worst with them someday. But I don't see it happening.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, even off of YouTube, I would love to see you speak with like Steve Wozniak someday. I know that's a little reaching for the stars, but I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, like I didn't even think about outside of YouTube. Outside of YouTube, I hope that one day within my lifespan I could at least have just a very, very brief interaction with Elon Musk, even if it's just running into him at a coffee shop or something, just for a second. Because, you know, like Steve Jobs was a giant inspiration to me, but I never thought when I was a kid that I would ever meet him. So when he died, I wasn't like super heartbroken. But Elon Musk seems a bit more reasonable, because he's not that old yet, and I'm growing up now, and I'm becoming more and more known as people are watching Tailosive. So I feel like if Tailosive grows the way I want it to, and then we become a very successful network, hopefully one day I can run into Elon. He'd be a cool guy to pick his brain.
Cool. Yeah, and I mean, you just said you're growing up and stuff. Have you noticed any issues with being young and being on YouTube? What issues has that came with, I guess?
That's a really good question. One issue, I think, is my social environment. And this is kind of hard to explain, but I am pretty much the only person my age, you know, making the amount of money that I make from YouTube, and, you know, being able to afford a studio and being able to afford new tech and new cameras and laptops and iPhones all at the same time. And all of my friends are in very, very different parts of their life, including my family, including my girlfriend. And seeing my sisters and my other, just friends and family that I know being in different walks of life, and they haven't even found a job yet, not finding they're not really sure what they want to do with their career. There's a lot of people out there, I know most people out there aren't really sure what they want to do as a profession. And when they're knowing me very well, and they've known me for a long time, and they're seeing me just like, I'm going to argue about smartphones and then make a pretty good pay from that. I'm not trying to say that I'm super, super rich and I have a ton in my pocket. What I think some people don't realize in YouTube is that, I'm reviewing the iPhone 8. I'm saving for the iPhone 10. I have to buy a MacBook Pro to review, and I'm hoping to get an iMac Pro. We'll see. I can't be sure about it, but they don't realize, like, that's almost all of my money. That's like where it's all going. So to be able to afford that and to be able to afford a studio and my own Wi-Fi, like, I think it's very easy for your friends and family to start to become a little bit entitled. To start saying, like, I can come by anytime, or why don't you pay for this because you have your own money now. So I'd probably say being young on YouTube isn't that hard in terms of being a YouTuber. It's in making videos and growing the channel has been monumentally exciting and very, very fun to see, how many people contact me and are interested into the content and really love the Tailosive network. But it's probably more of the small town, because I live in a tiny town, interaction with friends and family who aren't experiencing such monumentous success. I would call myself lucky, but it's not really true, because all of this success is a payoff from a lot of hard work I've had to do to get here. But a lot of people don't see that. They just see it as, so you stand in front of a camera and you get all this money, like you found some escape route and now you don't have to work very hard. When in actuality, it took, 6-7 years of getting no money and just hoping that someday this would turn into a profession. So I'd say being young, it's the other people you've grown up with and the other people your age that's kind of the hard interaction part. I've had a lot of sad friendships and sad relationships go downhill because of all of the opportunities I now have. Probably a lot of jealousy, but also it's part of people who work really hard and don't get as much, which is sad, but I didn't anticipate this either. I hoped for it, but I wasn't going into YouTube knowing for sure what was going to come out of it. So
Right. And as a YouTuber who's still pretty small, how long did it take you to go from where you had just a handful of subscribers to where you're at now? I mean, like you said, you're not the biggest on YouTube yet, but you're also decently large for where you
I
started.
consider it a profession if you can do it full time. I'd consider that you can call yourself a YouTuber. It doesn't matter how many subs you have, but if you're living off of the ad revenue, I'd say that's a pretty monstrous step.
But was there a point where you kind of went from considering yourself a smaller YouTuber to considering yourself to where you could live off of it?
Well, what I'd recommend to you and any other growing YouTuber out there who's not that big yet and is trying to grow a fan base is to keep in mind, while you may hear successful stories by big million subscriber channels about it kind of just happening one day, for me at least, and I think this might be more common because despite what many people think, YouTube is changing, and the ability to grow your channel into a profession is not as easy as it used to be, because YouTube used to be a lot smaller, which meant that you didn't have to do that much to be impressive. See, now when you're a growing YouTube channel, you're having to compete with 10 million subscriber channels. When I want to cover the Google Pixel, and Unbox Therapy already has every model of the Google Pixel the day it comes out.
Oh, yeah.
More people are going to watch that than me, because I don't have one and I'm not at the event. So the channels that are larger have more opportunity and can therefore grow faster, which means that us little guys have to think of something else to become big with. So what I'd recommend acknowledging is that it's not an overnight thing. Don't expect one day to just turn on your computer and see a giant spike in views, and that spike just keeps on growing, and your revenue keeps on growing, and it just keeps skyrocketing. I've never experienced something like that. You definitely can get spikes, but I've never seen a spike just keep going and going and going. Typically, you strike gold every once in a while, and gold doesn't have to be 1,000,000 views or 100,000 views or whatever. Like my first, what I would consider the first video that actually broke new ground or struck gold, as I would say, was when I did a tech video on the iPhone 6S battery case, because a lot of people had mean things to say about it. And the tech channel, I think at that time, had around 30 subscribers. And I'd been doing tech videos for a year, definitely not daily, sometimes like once a month. But when that battery case came out, lots of people were hating on it, and I was like, this is stupid. Apple just thought they'd throw this in as a special perk. So I uploaded a video as fast as I could because I was trying to stay current, try to make things about what people are searching. I'm trying to explain the battery case, and I haven't seen that video in a long time. I don't even remember what I said. But I remember when I uploaded it for the first time, a tech video was being viewed by people who weren't subscribed to the channel. And usually that didn't happen. Usually the tech videos were getting 0 to 10 views. And I do mean 0. Like, some people say I was only getting 30 views a video. And I could, not too long ago, I still considered that a lot. There were times where I would upload a tech video or a short and the view count would stay at 0 for weeks. Literally 0 people click on it, even though you've got subscribers. But that first 6S battery case video was, ironically, success. Yeah, got a bit of a spike with about 100 views, like within a day. And that was the first time there were some people who weren't usually watching me who started watching me, started subscribing. Then I started to realize, ooh, I got a little bit of a spark here, and I rolled with that. But that, of course, only happened because I acknowledged that the videos I were making weren't being viewed that much. And I knew I had to start experimenting with other things because I did the main channel, Tailosive, with the Saturday shorts and the comedy sketches. I had been doing that for years, and I had about 100, 200 subscribers. It was just not growing. So I knew that, okay, I'm going to start trying to do some other things to see if people care about other stuff. And I'm totally okay with I don't care if it's a 1,000,000 subscriber tech channel and a 10,000 subscriber comedy channel. I'll still work on both. I'm just going to work on what I care about. So I'm totally fine with the tech channel supporting financially all the other channels. I'm fine with that. So I don't even recall what the original question is, sorry, but I'd recommend just acknowledging this does not happen overnight. It takes months and months or even years for this to turn into a full-time profession. And as long as you keep acknowledging that there is a potential for you to turn this into a profession, and you know that if I keep trying things, if I keep watching my videos and thinking, what can I do better? How can I make this more interesting? What can I make that people care about watching? As long as you keep challenging yourself on that, it will happen. It's not a matter of if, but when, as long as you keep trying. The only reason people don't make it on YouTube is because they stop trying. Everyone who tries and doesn't stop trying will get there eventually.
Cool. Yeah, the original question was just the point that you went from small to big, and I think you definitely answered that with the battery case on the 6S video.
Yeah, and I can't recall when that was. I think it was early 2015. I'm not sure.
Do you think that negative criticism and people who are there like as Google fans and stuff like that are as good for the channel, or do you think they're bad for the channel as the fellow Apple sheep, if you will?
That's an interesting question, yeah. I haven't really thought about that. I do think that the people I trigger, as the internet would say, that the people that I upset when I upload a video that's controversial, which what I used to make used to get a lot more dislikes than what they get now. Like when I upload complaints about the Pixel, I noticed about a 20 to 25% dislike ratio. That's actually pretty good considering back in the day before this was a full-time thing, I used to get 50 to 60% dislike ratios, which is a lot of YouTubers would find very, very embarrassing, and they would consider taking down their video. But what people don't realize is that, you know, when you argue with them in the comments, and when people see something they're upset with and they want to click on that video, they're still watching you. And when you reply to their comment, they're going back to your video, which means another view, which means more watch time. So I totally think it may be even more helpful to upset people, to find people that disagree with you, because they actually have a contradictory opinion and you can have a debate about that. Whereas people who agree with everything that you say, sure, it's very nice to have a subscriber. I'm not saying they're not helpful, but there's not much of a debate to go on there. When someone comments, I love you, you're my favorite Apple sheep, I appreciate that and I'm very flattered, but I have no need to reply to that. You know, there's no response I need to make to that. Whereas someone can summarize a contradictory opinion as to why I'm wrong in a fairly concise statement, I feel more inclined to respond. So I could say that, yeah, I think that the people who prefer Google or don't like Apple at all probably help the channel grow a little bit more because they keep coming back. And oftentimes I won't click on videos that I know I agree with. Like a lot of people upload, or not necessarily agree with, it's just something I'm not that interested in because I already have a fixed opinion on it. Like, I didn't watch a ton of iPhone 8 unboxing videos because I had an iPhone 8. Whereas trying to figure out more about a product I don't own or don't plan on owning, like the Note 8 or the S8 or the Pixel, well, I guess I owned the S8, I forgot. Watching people unbox the Pixel is something I don't know much about and I don't agree with. And I'm trying to understand, why do all you YouTubers love this thing? I don't get it. I hate it. So I would just click on them to learn more about them. And I think they do the same to me. They try to look for answers. They see a 10-minute video about why the Pixel is a joke and they're like, how can he think that? And then they listen. So I think you're onto something there. I didn't consider that.
Good answer. Mm-hmm. Alright guys, thanks for watching. That was part 2 of the interview with TailosiveTech. There is one last part and that'll be coming really soon on Saturday. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. You can finish the interview and once you've seen all 3 parts, you'll have a better understanding of everything about TailosiveTech. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that. But in the meantime guys, I'm Zach. Don't you do crack and I'll catch you in the future.